Hi there, my name's Ian Brennan and welcome to the Magician's Advice podcast. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Don't worry, you're not on the wrong channel. This is an episode of the Magician's Advice podcast. It's going to be a bit of a longer one today, and if you're not in the mood for a long video, then by all means, switch off this one. Pop onto one of our shorter reviews, but before you go, hit the subscribe and the bell icon so that next time we put one of our reviews up, probably in 2 days' time, you'll be able to see the latest video on there, a nice short one. This one's going to be a bit longer. Here's why. The Magician's Advice, as a brand, started out as a podcast about 4 years ago. Since then, we've done in the region of 125 podcasts. We've recorded them with all sorts of magicians, local magicians, international magicians, and we're always about trying to give advice for other magicians that are starting up. That's our aim. When we recorded this latest podcast, we were talking all about Zoom magic, because that's the thing at the moment, how you can perform magic on Zoom and still try and get that buzz from performing, that income for your living and to keep you financially afloat. Zoom is the way forward until we get back to normal. And in this podcast, we were really lucky to be joined by Ricky Locke, a friend of mine, a friend of the podcast, and someone who's been doing lots and lots of these Zoom shows. And he's been learning as he goes, as a lot of people are, and he's going to share his advice of what he's learned so far, where he's got his ideas from, and he's going to share that with us. So why the video? We thought, since we're talking about Zoom podcasts, it'd be useful to actually see what Ricky has got in his setup at his home. And that's what you're going to be able to do. If you stick around for a few minutes, you're going to be introduced to our team. There'll be Phil Taylor, myself, Ian Brennan, and Rob Scott. He's our editor, and he's also on this podcast as well. And you'll see Ricky. You'll see a bit of Ricky's studio. You'll see the props he has. You'll see the gadgets he's using, the setup he's got, and he sort of talks you through a lot of things. So rather than just keeping it as an audio-only podcast, which you can access on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, all the usual places, instead of just keeping it as an audio-only podcast, we thought we'd put out the video for this one so you can actually see what's going on. Who knows, if you really enjoy the videos, we might keep those going in the future. I really hope you find this video version of the podcast useful for you. I know we really enjoyed recording it, and it was really useful for us as we set out and start looking towards going into Zoom performances as a way of keeping magic alive at the moment. The podcast is about to start. There's a message from our sponsor coming up first, and then I think you'll see Phil next in the podcast itself. While the sponsor message is popping up, drop us a comment below. What do you want to see us covering in the future? Have you done any Zoom performances yourself? Is it something you're looking at doing? And then at the end, let us know, was this helpful? What have you picked up from this? What have you learned? Thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of this podcast. And if you're not into this longer content, then don't worry, there'll be another short recommends video in about 2 days' time. Thanks very much. Bye.
Hello, I'm David. I'm an entertainer, so I use Gigio to manage my admin. When a client wants to book me, I can generate a professionally designed contract and send it to them quickly and easily. My client can agree their contract online if they want. They don't need to print, sign, or scan anything, so it makes their life easier too. I get an email notification as soon as they have confirmed, and the system even automatically updates my diary to show the confirmed booking. Gigio keeps track of the booking from beginning to end. I've set Gigio to auto-invoice this event, so as soon as they have confirmed the booking online, an invoice will be generated and emailed to them automatically. My admin couldn't be easier. I can see at a glance who has paid and who hasn't, and can chase any overdue payments at the click of a button. Outstanding items such as booking contracts, deposits, and tasks are shown on my dashboard, along with a list of upcoming events. Gigio also has an inquiry form that I've put on my website. This means that all inquiries go straight into the system. From here, I can quickly send customized stock responses with the client details merged into the email. Gigio is really simple to use, and it's web-based, so there's no software to install on your Mac or PC. It works on your smartphone too, so you can do all your admin on the go. And with regular updates, the system just keeps getting better and better. There's loads more features that make my admin quicker and easier, such as address lookups from postcodes, automatic mileage calculation, and end-of-year reports. With customizable currencies, languages, and tax rates, Gigio keeps entertainers organized all over the world. Professional entertainers love Gigio. Find out why with a free 30-day trial. Start yours today.
Welcome to the Magician's Advice podcast. My name's Phil Taylor, and on this podcast, I'm joined by my co-host Ian Brennan.
Hi there, Phil. How you doing?
And the one and only Ricky Locke. Hello, Ricky.
Hello, guys. Thanks for including me in the show.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I know it's been a bit of with my technical errors going on, but the reason that I've asked Ricky to come on is because he's been doing these live Zoom shows, and I know right now it's all the sort of rage and people are jumping on it, and I really wanted to understand how that's working for him, and also what's worked for him and what hasn't worked, so you guys don't have to make those errors. He might, if we're very lucky, share a few tricks that he's been doing. I've got some ideas. I haven't run them through I haven't run them through a Zoom show because I haven't done a Zoom show, so I'll share some ideas that I think might work as tricks, and then we can sort of talk about it. And also we've got Rob in the background, and he's on YouTube. So he's mute. Want to say hello, Rob?
Yeah, sorry. Hi, guys. How are we doing?
We're good, thanks. I thought he just wasn't going to mention you at all then, Rob.
Yeah, I know. I'm used to that. So don't worry. Yeah. Sit in the background, mate. I'm a mushroom. Put in the dark.
So Rob's going to chime in every now and again to cue us in if there's any problems with the audio. Alrighty. Okay, so Ricky, I think hopefully people know who you are. You've been on the podcast previously talking about weddings and wedding fairs and wedding things. I mean, that's a thing of the past now. No, I'm joking. We're on to a new phase of magic, and it's the Zoom magic. So let's just go right back to 2 weeks ago when you did your. When is it? 2 weeks ago? How long
yeah, it's kind of been a combination of about 4 to 5 weeks, but about 2.5 weeks ago is when I first probably started it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to the idea of what did you do? Did you plan it out? How did you get your audience? Are you testing it through friends and family and so on and so forth?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. Yeah. So basically, this kind of started off from the back of a bit of a breakdown. Actually, I should laugh about it, but I had a bit of a mini breakdown in April. Probably most magicians probably have done this. You know, I'm a massive extrovert, and I thrive off the energy of others. So not getting it, as most people will, was really difficult. And for my own mental health, you know, from going from this point of performing to overnight having nothing, it's really, really hard. And, you know, at first I didn't really think, you know, is this the right thing for me? You know, I've done a couple of shows in the past, and Ian obviously came to one of them, actually. Thank you, Ian.
Hey, you're welcome.
But, you know, it was a different world, you know, and I wasn't really too keen on it. And I just started to put the interest out there to think, you know, would people want to come see a show and that kind of idea? And, you know, somebody actually mentioned the word, you know, JFDI, just, I won't say it for obviously explicit reasons, but I just thought, right, I'm going to do it. And it started out by raising some interest. So I put a secretive post out that said, secret project. It just had a picture of me from the rehearsal of my show last year. Secret project, DM me or let me know if you want to join. And that's it, nothing. You know, I didn't put anything else about it. And the idea was just to kind of raise some interest. And what was really good was because it was kind of like a mystery, it got a lot of attention, and people shared the post. And people just said, yeah, I'm in, which was amazing because I was thinking, how on earth, you know, you have no idea what you're in for, you know. But anyway, I got about, like loads of people shared it, but some people didn't actually comment on it saying they're in. But in total, there's about 18 people. And they all said, yeah, I'm happy to help you out. So then I basically just DM'd them all and said, look, this is the idea. In the next couple of weeks, I'm planning to release my own online show. And I'd like to test out the equipment and the software first before I start, you know, performing live. It'll be a free show. You'll get to see the preview, and it'll be a free 40-minute show. You know, you can have your family in the room, whoever you want, and it's just so I can test the software. And they were like, yes, brilliant, great. And the reason I did that, so I guess going back a little way ago, in terms of how I work best, I'm a massive procrastinator, probably like most magicians. I procrastinate massively, but I only get the best work when I have a deadline. If I don't have a deadline, I don't really work. So what this was like a forced change. I'd put something in and thought, right, oh dear, bugger, I now need to actually do this, because by that point I didn't even have a show. I didn't have a show written, but that gave me that time of thinking, right, well, I've now promised something, I've made a commitment, I'm going to do it. So anyway, I started putting some tricks together, some of my favorite tricks, started thinking of performances where people hadn't seen me do it. And I started building this up. And I have to give full credit here to Andrew Green, who's an amazing guy. He's doing a lot of children's shows, and I think he's also doing close up and doing some corporate work at the minute. And he was on the Facebook group, the Professional Wedding Magician, which I believe you guys are on as well with Sam Fitton.
Yeah.
And there was this question raised about Zoom shows. Him and Elliot Bibby had made some comments. So I literally just reached out to Andrew. I had no idea who he was. I didn't even know who he was. And just said, look, this is my idea. I'd love you to give me some feedback. And I literally asked him everything. He said, would you mind sharing? And he was so honest and so kind. He shared pretty much everything what he does. Not the tricks or anything, but just his setup. And then that kind of gave me the idea to think, okay, well, I can probably do this. And then I'll probably talk about the logistics of how it works in a little bit. But basically from that point on, I just thought, right, okay, well, let's now start to build this. So I started to write a show, wrote a script. I started testing it out with a magician, a good friend of mine, Joel Klein. And then there's another magician called Dino Dell as well. I showed him an idea, something that I was working on. And from that point on, I started to think, right, well, I could do this show, practiced it a couple of times. And then these people that I'd contacted for the secret project, I then said, right, great, look, can you be free this Sunday? They all said yes. And I said, look, I'm going to do 3 shows. Did one like 11:30, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And I said, look, the T's and C's for this secret project, please accept them or agree before you do it. And the T's and C's was that I'm going to do this. I'm going to record it for marketing purposes. And, would you be okay with that? And everyone's like, yeah, sure. So basically that recording would then become a trailer, because I'd got that footage to show people. And also some of it was like close friends, so they gave me some great feedback and said, why don't you try this? I think the first preview, actually Lee Diamond joined, who's a Magician's Advice podcast follower, who was in the circle at Blackpool as well. So he came on as the first one, which was great. And as a magician, he gave me some great feedback as well. And then from that, I thought, well, okay, well, this is brilliant. I've now built the trailer. And the big thing for me is about building this experience. I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to be doing this, I really want it to be quality. And I decided from that, now I'm going to build a competition. So I had 3 previews done, built the trailer, showing people going, clapping, reacting, having, oh, that's amazing, Ricky, filmed myself in front of the camera about, here's a competition, guys. Let me show you what it's all about. And I put it out there. And I literally gave people 2 days, share this post, tag your friends in it. And it was, again, to raise awareness of what I was doing. And I gave away the show for free to someone and 10 of their friends. And it was all done on Zoom. And again, that obviously generated lots of publicity for it. People started sharing it and all that. And we announced the winner. And I made a video and said, here's the winner, did it live. And I said, but don't worry if you didn't win. I've got some now public shows. The tickets are on sale tonight at 7 o'clock. And I put it out there. And then literally gave people a couple of days to buy tickets. And it pretty much kicked off from there, really. So in a real short nutshell, that's kind of how it went from just a secret project to build the awareness, to then building the competition through the trailer that I'd made and the previews, and then putting the tickets out, which I'll go through as well, because Andrew Green gave me the great tip of, we'll probably talk about this, about how to get tickets, because it's done on Zoom, right? You can't really physically give a ticket, but I've got some great tips for that. But yeah.
What's the biggest audience and the smallest audience you performed for so far on this? So 18 was the trial run. What kind of scale has it gone from?
Yeah, so I put a maximum participation of 15 screens, and I'll go through this in a minute about how to manage the screens, because I'll tell you some of my experiences, which is quite funny. I've had a maximum of 11 people join, and then I've had the least about 6, or 5 or 6, yeah. But I like that. It's quite intimate. It's a really nice number. You can manage it really, really well. The more screens you get, the harder it becomes, because you've got to control the mics. You've got people going, Ashoo! Jenny, can you let the dog out? Yeah, let the dog out. And you think, I'm doing my ambitious card here. Can you stop? That kind of
Welcome to my world, Ricky. Welcome to my world, fella.
And we all know that people are at home, right? So, I remember doing a show and the doorbell rang. It was a courier. I was like, sorry guys, I've got to stop, I've got to get the door. You know,
You can get the door.
But this is the thing, and we'll go into this, but people are really forgiving about you, that they understand that this is new. They all understand we're at home. So they give you a bit of benefit of the doubt. I'll share later on a story where all of my cameras just turned off and how I dealt with that. It was very funny, and it was a paid show as well. So yeah, I've not had a refund on it yet. So
Can you go over? Okay, so you there? We're going to try and break this down the best we can. So we're going to talk about technology. Obviously, how to sell tickets, the Zoom cost if you had to, like the programs you had to buy, and also the cameras, the amount of cameras and stuff. But how do you go about? So you've got the idea, you've advertised it on social. How do you then go about structuring a show that's going to work online? How did you? So you reached out to, what was his name? Sorry,
Andrew Green. Yeah, Andrew Green.
Sorry, Andrew Green. You might reach out to Andrew Green. That's how I say, hey, Andrew. So did Andrew give you some advice? What did you do? Did you write it down? Did you know?
Yeah, so Andrew pretty much showed me what he kind of had as his setup, because at the time he was performing children's shows, and the idea came from that actually somebody contacted me to say, hey Ricky, I've been following you on Instagram, could you do a show? And I thought, well, I've not done one yet, so I'll just say yes, you know, because like we all do, we all take on bookings and go, yeah, sure. And then after speaking to this client, they said, it's for a 4-year-old. And then me, I instantly went, oh, you know, because I'm not a children's, well, I probably could, but I'm just, it's not my cup of tea. And that's not discrediting anybody. But I knew Andrew was doing it from seeing it on the Facebook group. So I reached out to him and said, look, Andrew, this is what I've quoted. I don't know if this is right or not. I found out now it's for a 4-year-old. Would you like to do it? And he said, oh, absolutely. And we handed it over. And I said, Andrew, you know, would you mind just sharing with me what you do, you know? And the gig was passed over to him, and he took it and he's performed it. It went really well. And so he basically just kind of told me his setup and what he does. And then I took some ideas from that. I'll go through all this in a second, like loads of different cameras and stuff to use. But it started from that. So yeah, basically a lot of the stuff that I've done is based from Andrew Green's recommendations. And shall I go through a little bit of the setup of what it looks like?
So you've got the show. Sorry, I am going to sort of break it down to give us some. But I know people will be thinking it and asking these questions because they're going through in my head. Not the tech side, not the Zoom side, because we'll get to that in a minute. But the actual, did you sit down and go, I'm going to open with this and close with this? Have you got a narration, or are you just doing close-up? Because doing close-up, right? We all know that you can mix and match the tricks, right? You can do whatever you want because you're only going to be there. You know, you might show them the maximum of 3 tricks and off you go. See you later, mate. And goodbye. What was the sort of structure with the show?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing you've got to realize if you're going to do this is that it has to be visual. It's got to be engaging, because the classic example I could say here is if you're watching Britain's Got Talent and you see a magician, you go, oh, that was good. But you're not going, woohoo, you know. People are at home. So how do you make them clap and cheer? Because let's face it, we're all magicians. We love applause. And that was really important to me, that we're going to have to create something really visual, but also interactive as well. I love talking to people. And part of this was, right, how do I get some tricks that is going to engage people, is going to interact with people? And I started just writing down first a big list of the tricks that I thought that I really like doing. What could I do to involve people? It's really important to me that every person that joins the show, I talk to them or I ask them a question so they all feel part of it. And I started to build this list of tricks that were visual. It was really important to me, like a standard magic show, the first trick is something visual. You know, if you go back to an example of when you do your Magic Circle audition, they always say start with something quick, pacey and fast and visual. And that was my idea. I wanted to show something that I'm not going to mess around. This is going to be fun. And then it went from there into kind of interactive pieces, you know, mind reading experiments, 21st Century Phantoms, you know, loads of different things like that. I'll actually share my set list with you, I don't mind. And just then started to structure that together and think, how could I create a story where there's lots of highs and lows, and then kind of just bridge that all together, really. And if I'm honest, I think I only do about 7 tricks in 40 minutes. Because you'll find that when everybody does this, the first 5-10 minutes is, hello guys, how you doing? You know, and you explain the show. And I'm going to share with you my tips here that will really help people, of ways that you can kind of prompt people to clap their hands, you know, prompt people to get involved, that kind of thing. But in answer to your question, Phil, yeah, basically I started to work out what are tricks that are visual and how can I build that into some sort of structure that has a start and then a big ending, which will be a big prediction. And that's kind of where it went to. Yeah.
So you've got a start, middle, and end. You wrote out your show. So I think the advice here, picking that part, would be to sit down, get a pen and paper, and just write down all the tricks that are visual that could work, and work out from there what could work. Now,
yeah,
I was listening to Alakazam's Jamie Dawes. They're doing a lecture or live or academy on Zoom, and he came up with a great idea, and it's out there. So people is to post out the deck of cards, post out some of your props that you're going to use, and then you can. I imagine you could charge more for that as well if you wanted to. And I just like the whole interaction idea of that. I know you might not have done that then, but I just think that's a nice value added sort of service.
Yeah. So with that point, actually, Phil, one of the things that I do, which is a great tip here, is use the waiting room. So on Zoom, you can use the waiting room and add a logo. I add a logo and you can add about 400 characters into the info. So for my waiting room, it says, the show will start soon. Please feel free to take pictures during the show and hashtag live in your living room, because that was the hashtag I kind of went with. For the best viewing experience, keep your camera on, because I don't want to do a show to, blank cameras.
Yeah, water blank screens.
Yeah, and because I do an interactive piece with everybody, it's part of the Zoom Mentalism piece by Mark Elsden that you can buy. I think it's on Vanishing Ink right now. I do the interactive piece together, and I stay in the waiting room. Ricky will conduct an experiment, live interaction piece. Please grab a small item, something that you can conceal in your hand, like a coin or a ring, and have some fun. Enjoy the show. And I keep them in that waiting room. So when I start the show, I always start a couple of minutes early, and then I see everybody on there, and I give them about 2 minutes first before I start admitting them in. And that way that builds that up, so they go, oh, this is good. I can take some pictures. We're all going to do a trick. Brilliant. And I've kind of preempted them. Now, if you think about this, there are so many things that you could probably do with waiting rooms. I've never really explored the group option where you do breakout rooms. I think you do need an additional, I don't know if you can get it on the next setting up, but you could do pre-show, you could do loads of different things just with that waiting room option. But that's how I preempt people to kind of say, right, we're going to try something together.
You could do Mark.
That's good.
Mark's Paul one with the. I saw it on a lecture years ago, but with the calculation he's got, works out to, and then all of a sudden each works out to a date or a prediction. And you could use that. You could loop that in at the end, so you could have like the whole. I'm just thinking about out loud, and it's kind of like a jam session for us as well. I don't think I'm going to do a Zoom show, but if the months go on, I have no choice.
Well, do you know what, Phil? It's a really good point. And the reason I did it was because I was having such a tough time. I missed performing. And I guarantee you, when you first do that first show and you hear that round of applause, it makes you feel so good again. And after the first preview I did, I said to Danielle, my fiance, I was like, this feels like COVID isn't even here. It just feels like I'm naturally performing to a theatre. But following on from that point, the way I've scripted this show is I've just been really honest about my experiences. So I talk about, everything we're going through. And, one of the tricks I do, which I'll share, is, I talk about, I'm a close-up magician, and now I'm not allowed to be within 2 meters of people. It's ironic, right? And I say, so I've had to revert to doing online mind reading, but I'm not very good at it. I'm getting better. And that kind of goes into it. And I always start off and say, let's have a good sound test. Let's everybody give yourselves a round of applause. And they all give themselves a round of applause. And then I make this comment and go, oh my God, that's lovely. I've not heard that in 2 months. Keep it going, And that also kind of prompts them to go, oh, okay, yeah, I need to clap at the end of every piece. Yeah. So, and that's basically telling the truth. I've generally missed a round of applause, but me saying it and they go, oh yeah. And they laugh. And as soon as I hear that laugh, like anyone that's, not confident or nervous, when you're doing a show and you hear that first breakout of, you go, oh, they're liking it so far, I can carry on, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So we've structured our show. We've got we'll go back to some of the tricks and share some ideas. We'll have like a jam session between the four of us of what could work and what couldn't. And I think that would be beneficial for people. so we've got the show. Let's just say we've wrote down all our tricks. We're happy with the start, middle, and end. We've got a prediction for the final and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Where, and then we're going to talk about software and hardware. But where are you performing this? As you're sitting, are you performing it there?
Yeah, so this is literally the downstairs dining room has now turned into like a recording studio, I could probably send some pictures if you want to, share this with the group.
This
after
is going
like
onto
yeah.
YouTube, so if anybody wants to see,
Great.
this is going to be on YouTube, or we'll put it on the group as well. So
brilliant, yeah. So I basically have my free wedding banners because I've got like a big kind of drop, which is just the logo. And I do it really high up. So the way I film it is I kind of have, so actually, before we go into that, I'll just say from your answer there, Phil, at the end, once you've got your tricks, the next thing to do before I go into that setup is to work out your audio and your visual. So the key thing for me here was to really understand, if I'm going to get people to pay something, this has to be really good quality. This has to look good.
Yep.
I'd already bought the Yeti, which was for just for doing random stuff in interviews over the last couple of months. And I use this Yeti. It's not obviously the best mic for it because obviously it's a cardioid mic. You can have it on stereo, and the further you go away, of course, it's not going to be as good. But I have this with a little bit of gain up, and I'm literally within about probably this amount of space from my mic, and it comes across really, really well. But for find out, some good audio, Andrew Green gave me a great recommendation. He actually has like a lapel mic with a radio mic, and he has a mixer. But that for me was just like over my head. I've not got experience with the mixer, but if you've got like a sound mixer, you can USB into your laptop. That's a really good way. So you could literally walk around your room. If I'm doing the show and I'm moving around, it might lose a bit of audio, but basically my setup is literally facing the camera the whole time. So get your audio sorted, get some good, clear sound. If you're just doing it straight to your laptop, it might be okay. But again, if you turn around, it might not be that good. The tip here as well with the audio, a bit like at any time when you're performing a show, you should never, the cardinal rule is that you shouldn't show your back. So always try and think that you are facing. So if I'm turning this way or anything like this, just think about where that sound's coming from. The next thing obviously would be the visual. So it was really important to me to get good quality. The camera that I'm obviously on now, for all the people that are watching on YouTube, podcast listeners, you won't obviously see this unless you check it out. But the camera that I've got right now is just a £30 camera from Amazon. It was called Derry Cam. It's like a cheap brand. I think that Amazon sponsored ad. It targeted me. Because as we know, supply and demand right now, to get the really good cameras like Logitech, you can't even get them anymore. Or if you do, they're like £300, £400. So I bought this one. It's okay. It did cut out during one show, so I don't use it anymore and just use it for this right now. And you can tell from watching on YouTube, there's a bit of a fisheye lens. Can you see the banners are slightly curved? And that for me, and because it's 1080p, you probably can't see the writing as well. It's quite grainy. So we tested that and just thought, no, that's not great. If I'm going to hold something up, I don't want people to go, oh, I can't see it. Yeah. And one thing that I do is I also have multiple cameras during my show. So I actually do a piece which is close-up magic. I can send a little preview of this from a real show if you want to add this into your clip in, whatever you want. But I switch between cameras because I want to show me performing like this, but then also having a piece where I'm just on the table, just my hands. And that way I can still, if I'm turning this way, I can still talk into the mic, but also perform and just show my hands. Because I am a close-up magician predominantly. So that was the key thing for me. How am I going to make this really visual? How am I going to make this an experience? Because as soon as you flick over to another camera, some of the comments I got was, "Oh my God, you've got multiple cameras. That's amazing." Now they're not expensive, like these. This is an old one I've got by SJ Cam. My brother got me this many moons ago. Sam actually fit and recommended one on the group, which was about £30 that you can buy. Same thing, you just USB it. And the great thing with Zoom, USB, you don't need to download any drivers. You just plug it straight in and it recognizes it. Now with Zoom, you can then flick between cameras. So right now, I'm obviously on this USB webcam that you can see. If I was to flick a button right now, it would then go over to the camera that's already in the laptop. And that's really cool. So as soon as you start doing that, people go, "Oh my God, this is really professional." And that's the thing. We really need to make sure if you are doing one, try and deliver the best standard that you can. So yeah, make sure you get some cameras. 720 is enough. I think, 720 is really good. The app that I do use, and this is to quote Siler. So Siler, so thank you for his. He revealed this in one of his videos on YouTube. I use an app, and it's called Epoch Cam HD. And this is where you can use your own mobile as a webcam. And if you've got an iPhone or Android, it's really, really good quality. So right now, podcast viewers won't see this, but you'll see the camera, and it's 720p, and it's brilliant. So that means I can have this on top of my laptop, and then I can flick between like a USB camera here and flick between different screens. And that gives that experience that this is like a real show. If you're watching a stage show, you could see the camera on the side and go, oh, that's really good, Yeah, because the other thing here with this is it's quite cheeky, but with Zoom or Zoom online shows, you can get away with so much, right? And I'll share something that I do in a minute, but if the camera right now is fixed on you here, you cannot see what I'm doing down here, right? I'm not doing anything rude, by the way, but I could do something like double writing or something like that. And I'll share a tip that I do, because I'm not the best magician in the world. I think the thing that probably works for me is my personality that helps engage people, but you can get away with so much. But definitely think about your audio, how you're going to make that nice and clear, because you don't want people to go, sorry, Rick, I can't hear you. Yeah. Sorry, Rick, I can't hear you. Think about the quality of your camera as well. Whether you just do that, get a free app, or even pay £8 to get the Epoch Cam HD, or even if you just pay 20 quid, 30 quid, you'll make that back if you do one show, £8, £9 a ticket, and it's worth the investment, definitely.
So if you get the app, if you get the app, you could potentially run 2, 3 phones. So if you've got an old iPhone in the drawer, you could do that with stands and with what do they call these? I don't know what they're called these.
Oh, tripods.
Tripods.
Yeah, absolutely.
A few of them knocking around.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only one with this one is you do need to download a driver, but it's free. It tells you what to do on the phone, and you download it to your computer, and it recognises it. But then what's cool is with Zoom so right now it says that I've got 3 cameras, and you can flick between. So if you wanted to, you could create a really cool experience. For me, maybe I don't know if it's just my OCD or my standards. I wasn't happy with just one camera. I really wanted to create this experience where I could flick between, and also the trick I wanted to do as well. I needed that experience where it was down below so they could see something. I don't do a lot of card tricks in the show, but I wanted them to see something and feel something. And I won't lie, I don't do the full ambitious thing because you can't really do the card to the mouth because it just doesn't work. But I do a signed card piece in there, and I just do the first move, which is where it goes in the middle and it jumps to the top, and they will go, what? And it's amazing, So yeah, think about your visuals, think about your audio as well. Yeah.
So Ricky,
on that note, a couple of things I want to mention is first, make sure you try this stuff out before you go live. So like Ricky said at the start, get your friends, get that special group of people before and get it all checked out, because there's nothing worse than going live and it going wrong. And also check your backgrounds. I know you've said you've got a lovely background there for yourself, Ricky, but I've seen some magicians go on and they've got a little bit of a background, but then you can see their laundry in the back, or their dogs rolling around, or they're eating up their children or something like that. Just make sure all the stuff that people could see in the background is hidden away, that people can't see the stuff there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, Ian? You're absolutely right. And get those people that will give you that honest feedback. So Joel Klein, great guy, he did it for me. He will tell me if I'm rubbish, and I need that. Yep. If I have someone that says, yeah, it was really good, Ricky, then we'll just carry on being crap. You do need those people. And sometimes you might have to bite your lip. Some of the things he says to me, I'm like, but it's right. But you need that perspective to give you that. We've got to put out quality here. We've got to help people, definitely.
And if anybody's in the group and listening to this, we've got some spare time and you're doing a show, give myself an ear and a shout, and I'm sure Ricky, if he's got some time, he wouldn't mind. I mean, Ricky's probably one of the nicest guys in magic as well as Ian. Well, you are,
the check's in the post. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that. Yeah.
But I think people.
Cheers, I'm feeling like chopped liver at the moment.
Yeah. But Rob, you're an old dog, ain't you? So comes with a lot of baggage.
Yeah, that'll be edited out, don't worry.
I love it. So Ricky, one thing I want to ask, you can hear them clapping, so they're all live, aren't they? Yeah. Are they live throughout the whole thing?
Yes, yeah. So
Sounds like such a risky endeavour.
yeah, so this was a great conversation that I shared with Andrew. Andrew does children's shows, and he controls different mics because sometimes you'll get kids shouting and stuff. If you're doing just like if you're doing like adult shows, adults are pretty much reserved where they're not always talking, so you could unmute the mics. The big tip here I'm going to say to you guys, and again, I feel like I'm just saying Andrew here, bless him, but he absolutely massive help here, is this. I use this. It cost me 20 quid. It's just a numeric keyboard, okay? And I use this to control stuff during the show. So I will have it out of arm's way, and basically I control the mics. The worst thing you can do is you're performing a trick and you're about to do the big reveal, and someone goes, and you think, oh Jesus. So there are times in the show you might want to mute people, and I make this. I do housekeeping at the start. I say to people, guys, I want you to imagine that I'm literally live in your living room right now with you. Please clap, please cheer. If you're a heavy breather like me, then mute yourselves. Or if you've got a barking dog, then mute yourselves. And that gives them the idea, okay, yeah, I'll mute myself. And then if you want them during the show, you can unmute it and say, right, I'm going to go to the gallery. Hey, Ian, I can see there. Ian, just going to unmute you right now. Press a button. Ian, I'd like to ask you a question. And this will then create a really good audio, because if people have paid like 8 to 10 quid a ticket and all they hear is people talking over, and that's the reason I haven't done kids shows, because I did a show, my show's 8+, right? Because I think it kind of fitted quite right. And someone bought a ticket. I couldn't stop them, but they had like 4 or 5 year olds and they were just going, wow, wow. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to mute you there, guys. Sorry, And I was like, oh, and you don't want to keep doing that. But the good tip there is at the start is set up your show, explain to what you do. And guys, have this, please don't rip me off here, but you can have this tip. I love this tip, right? I say to everyone at the start, enjoy the show, please. I'm hoping that this is going to connect people. I talk about the experience. We're going to do experiments. I want to connect people. Magic is about bringing people together. I hope the show gives you a smile. And I talk about how this is strange and unprecedented times. Who would have known that in June 2020, I'd be performing live in your living room from my dining room? And then I start talking about it. Clap, please cheer. But I have one rule, guys, and that's a really simple rule, is please no heckling. It'd be really embarrassing if you start heckling me whilst I'm in my dining room. And they all laugh, and then again, that's that little gesture. And I said, if you do want to heckle me, that's fine. Just mute your mic. I don't want to hear it. And that works for my personality. It might not work for everybody. But try and set some kind of rules, but not make it formal. People don't want to be told what to do, but give them some sort of direction. Please feel free to mute your mic if you don't want to be heard. And again, make it really comfortable and relaxing. It's lovely to see you all here with your lockdown haircuts. You're all looking lovely. Whatever you can do to kind of convey some personality, that's what's going to make it work. Yeah,
it's absolute gold as well. That's absolutely perfect. So just running over the Zoom software, you've got it on Zoom. Yeah. You've paid for the premium membership, right?
Yeah. So not the basic one, the next one up, which I think is the Pro, which is $15.99. And the reason I bought that was I was doing lots of Facebook live streams, doing some wedding supplier interviews recently. So I'd already got that, which lasts 40 minutes. A tip here as well you can use. I think this is what Andrew gave me. Bless him. You should get Andrew on the show here, really.
I think
yeah. If it's a private function, I've done 3 private shows now. At the end of it, I put the hosting duties onto one of the family members. When I then leave the show, they can all stay on as a family. Now, if a family only has a basic account, which is 40 minutes, they know they have to end, right? Now, I could do my show for 50 minutes and say, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to put hosting duties onto Laura. Laura, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, guys. Bye-bye. I then leave, and they can stay on as long as they want, till midnight if they want to.
Do you tell them that?
Yeah, so I tell them that if they book me for a private show, I will tell them that, as part of this package, you can have this. And they go, oh, that's lovely, thank you. You're adding more value.
Sorry, guys, there is another way around it, of course. It's not as professional as the way you're doing it, Ricky. But what you can do is you can set up different accounts. You can set up a new account for Zoom, and on the very first time you use Zoom, you get unlimited time anyway. So there is an alternative to it. And also going back to what you said about your keypad and about about doing that, there's also another alternative of that, I believe. If you download OBS, I believe you can download an app on your phone, and you can use your phone to do it as well.
Yeah, that's right. Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, because I use my phone as the camera, I couldn't do it, so I had to fork out. But yeah, that's what I would have done if I wasn't using that. Great option.
Yeah. No, I was just like I say,
yeah.
it's just listening to what you're saying. I just know that there's going to be some people out there that, I mean, at the moment, money is tight for everybody. There are some cheaper alternatives that are as good. Obviously, to get the professional outlook on it, though, I think going the way that you're saying, Rick, is bang on.
Yeah, I mean, even if you've got just a simple wireless mouse, if you've already got like a mouse, you could use that to do a lot of it. With Zoom, you can hotkey stuff, you can replace stuff. So I basically hotkey 3 or 4 keys here. When you do your show, if you've got more than 4 or 5 people, you can spotlight the video. If you've only got under that, you can only pin it. Now, spotlighting it means that you become the biggest screen. So a couple of weeks ago, we did, for my local magic site, we had the amazing Joel Dickinson. He came and did a lecture. We've got 20 members that came on. In a gallery view, it's very, very small. But you spotlight the video, he becomes the biggest thing. But what I do, I spotlight my video so every participant sees me as the biggest screen. But when I'm actually performing, I press like number 2, which is my gallery button. At their end, they see me as the biggest screen and see like 4 small heads at the top. But I can see everyone in one go. So that way I can keep an eye of what's going on. I can talk to people, that kind of thing. The only thing with that, just as an idea, if you're not used to, or if you're not as confident talking to a camera or a lens, it can feel a bit unnatural. So the idea here is if I think, let's imagine for podcast viewers to hear this, imagine that my laptop is at my neck point of view. Now, my webcam, which is my iPhone, is about my eye view. Now, I have to look up all the time and go, hi, guys. And I can see you guys in my peripheral vision, which would be down here by my neck. But all I do is I just glance down every now and then. You know, I don't want to do a show where I'm going, right, Ian, I can see you on the gallery. Great. Can you give me a number? Because otherwise people are just going to see the side of my face.
You're looking away from the camera all the time. Yeah.
But what's quite cool is because you can get the gallery, you know, just having your iPhone, say like 2 inches above your laptop, your eye level doesn't really change too much, you know. So that's a really good tip, is just make sure that your camera isn't too far away from wherever your monitor is, because otherwise you will get the side of your face and people don't want to see that, especially if you've got like ball patches and stuff like that. They probably don't want to see that, you know. So.
Also, very quickly before I go back onto mute, something you were saying about the microphones earlier on as well. Another alternative is the earbuds that people are using now. You can have one of those in your ear, which is almost unseen. And you can use that as your microphone as well, because obviously they pick up on that. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, obviously not as good as the microphone that you're using, but it's an alternative, isn't it?
Yeah, and Silas got a really great tip, and this is to quote him from his YouTube channel. He's done a video on this, so go check that out. He puts one ear pod in the charging port and wears one. So then if this one dies, he can then pull it back out.
Absolutely.
The only thing for me was I just didn't want anything in my ears. I wanted to kind of look as best I can. And also, I mean, like the way I do it is I have the audio going through this mic for my audio, but the sound comes out of speakers.
Yeah.
So I have these away from the mic, so there's no feedback, but then I can hear everyone coming through here. And the reason for that was I just didn't want 10 or 20 people clapping in this ear. It would probably just throw me off, and that's probably just my kind of style.
With a good microphone like that as well, you can do that with the speakers and not get feedback.
But a cheaper way would absolutely do it with your standard headphones.
And something else that somebody said as well was to get a black one as well. Get your black earpods rather than the white ones. You can pick them up for about 15, 20 quid. That looks more professional as well, rather than the white ones. So yeah, it's just alternatives.
Yeah, great point, Rob. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The only thing with the black ones would be the black ones aren't official AirPods, are they? So anyone that knows what they're looking at, they'll go, "Oh, he's wearing knockoff gear."
Get a Sharpie out then.
Colour it in white. Yeah.
All right. So we know what the software is we're using. How much was the tech altogether all in? So your mics, what, 50 quid?
So I bought this literally, I think pre-COVID, this mic. So I'm not counting that into my COVID budget at all. But this mic is an expensive mic. It's about £120. It's definitely worth it. It may not be suitable, but the way I perform is I'm quite close the whole time. I don't really move, that much. The cameras are like £20. Yes, you're going to need a laptop, or some sort of device that will handle Zoom. You could probably do a Zoom show on your mobile phone, but I don't know what the standard would look like. I'm very pedantic in whatever I do. I always want to try and put out the best quality because, you know, it's really important to me that we all kind of promote the best standard of magic if we can. And you could have an amazing show, but if the quality of the audio is pants, people switch off. So it's really important to me. But that's about £100. Speakers were laying around. These are really old. One of them doesn't work. You know, these are about 5 or 6 years old. The tripod I'd already had, but you can pick up a tripod for about £20 probably from Amazon. In total, probably you're looking at, if you really want stuff like pro level, you know, tripods, you know, you could be paying up to about £100, maybe £150. I know that's probably tight, and I know a lot of us probably haven't got a lot of money at the minute, but it is an investment because if you do sell the show, you'll make it back probably within 1 or 2 shows. So it depends if you're prepared to do it. But again, you know, think about, you might want to at the start just do it close to your laptop and then get some money from that and then invest into it. But yeah, so probably about 100 and something pounds. Maybe.
Just so people who are listening and not viewing, you're doing this static on your desk and just moving the cameras around, right? So you're sitting down.
Yeah. So when I actually perform my show, I stand up and I've got the mic at mouth level so that the sound direction is going straight into the mic. And my whole show is standing up because, I'll share my screen in a minute for the YouTube probably viewers so you can kind of see what that looks like. Yeah. Okay,
standing up's quite, because you can wear a jacket, you can put your props in, you know where things are. It's a standard sort of magic ideas there. Because in my head I had a vision that you were sitting down and you were just like lapping things, lapping things and doing stuff. Like, interesting.
I'm so used, Phil, to standing up. I'm not a massive performer. I can't really perform sitting down anymore. I'm so used to standing up, and because I'm very lanky, I've got massive arms. You know, I'm not very good at sitting at a table, but standing up, it allows me to be more flexible. I'm very animated, and probably people getting annoyed on the video. You know, my hands are going everywhere, but that allows me to kind of give the best experience possible.
The one thing that I always like, Ian's been doing a lot of YouTube stuff, and obviously as he's learning, he's getting better and better. He's lighting, and I always thought that you can get lights for like 20 quid. These ring lights. I'll just show you mine. So where is it? Like that. And you know, is that what you've got, Ian?
Yeah, that's a similar sort of thing to what I've got here. Mine is it's a ring, but it also has a tripod mount in the middle. So you attach your little camera into the middle of the ring. So at the moment, I'm looking directly at the camera, but around that is the ring, which all sits on top of my tripod, which I can then move around to where I need to be.
And I just thought that lighting's going to be important as we move into the darker days.
I'll reveal a tip on this as well, because the time of the day as well will also affect the show. I found that, you know, so in terms of lighting, you've got until about 9:30 at the minute where it's okay until it starts getting dark. But you also have to factor in connectivity. I did a show at 9:00 at night and my camera dropped connectivity because the webcam uses Wi-Fi. I've now solved it where you can plug it in USB. Everyone's on Netflix at 9:00 at night. They're all home from work.
Yeah.
Try and plan your time because, you know, bless her, my poor fiance, when I do the show, she literally sits in the living room and does nothing. I've told her, you're not going on Netflix, you can't kind of thing, because we tried it. I tried to do a preview show and then she started watching Netflix and then everything just went because it couldn't handle the stream of the Netflix and the Zoom Wi-Fi. We all know at the minute that broadband is not as strong as it is because everybody's at home because of the sad circumstances that we're in. So doing a show at 3:00, perfect. You've got great Wi-Fi. Darren Delaney gave a great tip on one of his videos where if you've got an Ethernet port, plug your Ethernet cable from your router into your laptop to boost the signal. But I literally just turned everything off, pulled out my Alexa, turned my, I logged out of Facebook, Instagram, everything on my phone. I put my phone onto flight mode and do not disturb because it's obviously using that one as the webcam. And I'm just trying to reduce all of the connectivity issues because the worst thing you can do is you're paying an £8, £9, whatever price, and someone says, well, yeah, the show was good, but about 10 minutes in, it just went black. Couldn't even see Ricky. You know, you don't want people saying that at all, you know.
And the other thing as well with that is I've only done a couple of Zoom shows. My career with Zoom ended when one of the kids vomited in their parents' living room, and that was it.
Oh, you haven't told me this story.
Not because of the show, but we had 3 families on watching this kids show, and then all of a sudden they were on silence, but I could see them. I'm doing like ropes that all go to the same length, and on my little gallery we've got one of the kids who goes and I just stop, and I sort of freeze, and then everyone else sort of looks at me as if to say, what's going on? Sorry, one of the people here has been sick. I'm just gonna have to just check they're okay. And it really threw my flow, but anyway. What I was going to say is the other problem I've had with it is their connectivity. So it's one thing you control on your own, but their connectivity can be really ropey. And with kids shows that I've done, again, only a small handful, but some of these families, they haven't got a lot of money, and they haven't got a lot of money they're spending on their internet. So for me, I had a couple of families watching really, really well with Vomit Kid in one of them. And then another family, it kept dropping out for them because they didn't have a strong internet connection. But because I tested it before, and because I knew what was going on in my house, I could have the confidence to say, I think it's something with your end. I think it's your internet. It's not mine. If you'd like, I can issue you a refund and blah, 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 and we can deal with it. But the important thing is practice it first, and then you know for yourself, is it an issue with you or is it an issue with them? And you can deal with it appropriately. Because the last thing you want is to be thinking, there's a problem. Oh, what about? And you start unplugging stuff and messing around with stuff.
You know
your bandwidth.
Sorry, you can put them in your T's and C's as you email out, confirm the T's.
Yes.
Please make sure everything's off broadband, like what Ricky said, Netflix and whoever's in the house. Just make them aware, because we want to make this the best experience for you guys. And whoever's in the house, bring them in. Get them off Netflix, bring them in, and so they shut it down, and you've got more people doing it.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's a really good point. I put that in my T's and C's because I ran it through Ticket Source, because it's a really great way that I could send an automatic Zoom link to them after purchase. And in the T's and C's, I do put that a Wi-Fi connection is needed, and I put for best viewing experience, a tablet or laptop is recommended. However, if you do have a phone, then you still can join the show, because you don't want people to go, oh no, I don't have Zoom. Oh, if you've got an Android phone, you could do it, or an app. But some people, the first show I had, I can't see anyone. Where is everybody else? And you think, oh, I can't see you, Ricky. You're too small. And it's like, okay, so make it clear, however you sell your tickets and that people get the instruction first. I always put a little comment in there as well. Please join 5 minutes before the show to get yourself familiar with the actual audio and all that, That's the only thing you can't control. But saying that as well, everyone's very forgiving. They all understand that this is new. We're setting the bar here, aren't we, of what this looks like. People are very forgiving about that. It's okay if it goes wrong. I did a show at 9 o'clock and it went off twice. And actually, people just laughed about it. It was funny. We built it into the show. At the end, when I had this big prediction, I said, well, this prediction's been here the whole time, but the camera stopped for 10 seconds later on. So it's up to you if you believe me or not, but it has been here the whole time, And they didn't care. They didn't care. They just, they felt like it was so nice. And everybody, I even made a gag. I said, like, guys, well, if you do want a refund, just email info@rickylocke.co.uk and you can get a refund. And nobody emailed me. They actually all said that, do you know what, Ricky, this brought us just a little smile from the boring family quizzes and the boring stuff, sitting at home, so thank you for making us smile. And that's it, So if, these things happen in live shows, don't they? You drop props on the floor.
Yeah.
But you do have to remain complete professional. If you go, oh my God, hang on. Oh no, I don't know what's going on. Hang on. Just laugh it off. Just literally play it cool and, just be patient. These things will happen, but you really have to make sure that you're a professional. The personality thing here is one of the biggest tips I'd have to say. If I'm honest, I think most people can do this. I think if you're not quite a strong person in terms of like a confident personality, it might be harder for you because you are dealing with live people. So if you've got experience in shows, then you'll be fine. If you've not got experience in shows, I don't think you won't be able to do it, but you've just got to learn how to adapt. If someone says something that might put you off, how are you going to get back on track? you know, just, and that's where your personality works, you know, laugh it off, make a comment, make a joke, you know, make an improv moment that will then get you back on track, you know, whatever it might be, you know, make a joke and say, well, I am a great magician, but I just can't, the only thing I can't predict is Wi-Fi, you know, so, you know, play it off, play it cool, whatever you can do to just kind of get back on track. Yeah.
Okay. Should we just have a little jam session on tricks? Rob, do you want to come back in? And then we'll just talk about...
Yes, mate, sorry, I'm back here.
Okay, so this is a bit where we're going to talk about tricks and things that we might be able to do over Zoom. And I don't know what to say now because I kind of got my start. So when we put in a set together, if we're doing a show, we want to start, middle, and end. But I think we're just going to talk about what could work. So in my head, we would need a prediction. So something that's there all the time. And I love the idea, right, of doing this, cutting the cameras so they all go blank. And then you writing something on the table, swapping having your missus there, swap it round in the background. Sorry guys, all back on. Oh, sorry, the cameras went, you know, do what Ricky said.
I did say this. You could probably, you know, get like your partner, if there's someone else at home, or your child to ring the doorbell and say, oh, "I'm really sorry, guys, the doorbell's there." Go off and secretly write something. That's probably a bit too cheeky, isn't it? Yeah.
It's been outside the window the whole time. You turn the camera.
Yeah.
So I've been working with a friend on doing these Zoom stuff on the sort of like the creative process of it. And what you just said there about cutting the cameras all going off black and coming back on, what we've done, there's I don't know the original. I can't even name check the original creators of it. But Wayne Dobson, his Conjurer's Choice, or SMS as he's now released it. I think it's based on the shuffleboard. Is it shuffleboard principle? Simon Aronson, something like that. Basically, we've created a PowerPoint presentation of something very similar, based around chocolate bars or drinks, and you can share your screen. You can give them the instructions. It moves around the screen, and of course, when it comes back, it cuts back. You know their fingers left on the item that's been done, but when it cuts back to you, you're standing there with a Twix in your hand or drinking a glass of milk, which is the thing. So what you're saying now is you're not cutting the camera, but you're sharing your screen, and when you unshare it, especially the way that Ricky was talking about with the keypad and stuff, makes it really easy to do. You've actually got the prediction on the screen, but then also you're standing there with it in your hand as well. Yeah. It's a great idea, actually. So we've been working with that, and like I say, that's one thing we've come up with.
And I know a lot of people have been using apps. So this Picasso one. Have you used apps yet?
No, so I wanted to kind of create something that I hadn't done for any of my like couples or close-up gigs, so that I could kind of include them in as well. Because one of the things that I'll maybe share later as a bonus tip is that I have a newsletter that I've been building over the last couple of years, and to get interest, I sent everyone a discount code of £1. I know it's not a lot, but and I also gave all of my couples that had to postpone this year a free link. Only 2 got back to me and said we'd love that, but that was just me doing something for them to say, look, I know you're not very happy at the minute and sad, so here's a free link for you. But no, I haven't used any apps because I wanted to, and one, because my phone was being used as the webcam, but I wanted to kind of create this, you know, conversation where I could interact with people. I do a piece which is a witch hand thing, which everybody does, and it's really fun, and I use that as a point to get some information from people, and then that will then be at the end of the show. So without kind of revealing too much, because it'd be on YouTube, but yeah, I use certain points in the show to get information which will then be used for the show at the end, the kicker thing. Yeah
Very good.
So, yeah.
It's good to have a recall, isn't it, to come back to it at the end.
Yeah, and again, because these are people, and again, I always talk about my experience with people, you know, and I'm really honest. So I say, imagine the lockdown's finished, right? You're going on holiday, can't wait, right? Where would you go? And they comment and say, great, Dubai. Go, lovely, why Dubai? Have you been there before? And it's great, you know, and then, you know, and then again, imagine all of the fast food chains are back open, you know, you're not waiting an hour for your McDonald's, wherever you want to go, write it down, you know. And it's just a great way to connect, because we're, you know, I think what's quite cool is if you can script it into like a real life situation. Yes, we're a character and performing here, but everyone knows that I'm just a magician that is in lockdown like every other person. I can't leave my house. So share it, talk about it. I went mad a couple of weeks ago, guys, and I got told off going down Tesco's, going down the wrong way system, wrong way. But this gave me an idea. and therefore, you know, it links into stuff. Yeah. So just talk about your experiences, because people will build rapport with you because they understand. Yeah, he's just like me. Yeah, yeah.
They get it, don't they? With your routines, do you do? I know you do some standing up, and I know you do some on the mat. Do you try and do a mix as you go through, or do you do all the mat stuff together in the middle? And then, yeah, how do you structure it in that sense? Is it lots of up and then down and up and down?
Yeah, so it starts off pretty much like up with me looking at everybody on the camera. I do, you know, a very visual card effect, which is a ripped card, and then it's restored in a really nice way. And again, it works with a script of, you know, I've been attempting mind reading and getting it wrong. I then do some mind reading experiments, an interactive piece looking at everybody, and then it goes to the close-up mat for about 2 or 3 tricks, flicks back up to the camera. I say something for about, you know, a minute or two, and then the last kicker end piece effect is on that close-up camera again, and then the big reveal is literally just back as it was. So yeah, so it doesn't flick between too many times, but I try and keep it in one so that they're not going up, down, up, down. It's just up once, down, back up. That's probably just contradicted everything I've just said there, isn't it? But it's probably like, say, 60% of the show is on the one camera straight away for 60% of the show. Then 20% it goes down to the low bit, back up for like 5%, and then back down for 5% and the end of the show, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So let's give people an idea of the tricks. I know we talked a lot about the structure of the show already, and I know a lot of people might be sort of thinking, okay, what's in my box? What can I use? So I'm just going to do a quick round the table of tricks that we think would work. For me, it would be coin in bottle, coins across. That could work. If you saw, what's it called? Coin two. I'm just going to call it coin two. People would know what that is. If you don't know what that is, check it out at some point. Coin two is a great effect to use. So, Ian, what tricks would you sort of turn on to show?
I think, well, I know one that worked really well for me is when you have a deck of cards and the card that they choose has got a cross on the back of it, and then you put that down in full display. They choose another card, and then that card vanishes in the deck, and it appears as the card that's already got a cross on the back. So I did it with an easel, and I stood the easel up on my little table that I had. The first card had a black mark on the back, put that on the easel. The second card they chose then transported across and turned into that one, and it vanished from the deck. And people will probably know what I'm talking about when they hear it, without naming names.
Rob?
For me, one that we've been using on the stuff so far is Too Hot to Handle, Kieran Johnson. So got a can of drink sitting on the side behind me all the way through the show, and you basically get them to name a card. On the back of the card, there's a drink named. You turn it round, you've got a can of Coke. The drink doesn't match up, but then you can actually put it up to the camera, open it so they can hear it go, and then pour out a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever it is you want in it.
Nice. I know Ricky got a stew. You could do a lot of stooging, right? You could actually bring your friends in on the thing.
But then the only thing with that is that the other guys, if it's a family you're doing it for, the other guys would know, though, wouldn't they? They would know.
No, but if you've got multiple people buying the tickets,
And on Deirdre's camera, there's going to be a giraffe walk past the window. Look out the window. There's a giraffe. There's a giraffe.
Well, you know the effect where I'll be careful how I explain so I don't get into trouble, but where there's a box hanging in the air and it comes down onto a table that's wheeled out by someone, and then inside is a long tube. Yeah, probably all know how that works, right? But like you said, Phil, there, if you're not just living on your own,
plenty of scope and options.
Yeah, lots you can do.
Yeah, let's not reveal that, but yeah, I don't do that personally. But
there's also there's a good prediction that you can use with Instagram as well if you don't live on your own.
Yes.
The turn, you could use the Turner watch as well. That could be very handy if your battery hasn't run out. If you've got one.
And I think a lot of the audiences aren't going to be thinking that way, are they? When you're on a stage, people are going to think, oh, there might be people in the wings of the stage, or there might be helpers there. But when you're on a Zoom, it feels very personal. It feels very intimate. To think that you've got someone sneaking around doing something else for you, or is quite it's a step outside the thought process.
Yeah, and you've got to be really careful as well. That's just made me remember something, Ian, is that I was very conscious that if I'm going to be doing slights and stuff like that, you've got like in a real show in a theatre, you've got like 10 eyes looking at you. you know, so it's not, you know, we all know as a close magician, we can probably get away with so much more because we react and we say jokes and they look away and stuff like that. Whereas this, people are focused. So whatever you choose to do, you just got to be very careful, you know. So yeah.
Are you doing a 40-minute show and having a break or not? That's one thing we didn't discuss. Are you having a break after 20 minutes, or are you plowing through and doing the 40 minutes?
So I plow through, and my shows, I put it as 40 and it lasts about 50, 55, because the first 5-10 minutes is just greeting people. Hello, welcome, nice to see you. How are you? You know, are you keeping well, keeping safe? Because some people will join in and it might, like it says on Ian, it says Ian Brennan, but he might be with 3 other people. And I'll be, oh, hello, Ian, nice to meet you. Who's this you're with? You know, you might want to write that name down so you can say, great, Ian, do you mind if I ask your wife there, you know, what's her name and all that kind of thing? You know, so that could be an instruction that you put in the waiting room. When you join, please type your name in the Zoom show, you know, because if you've got like, say, 20 people on the screen, but one screen has 10 people in it, they're a massive family, you know, you might want to interact with people, but it's very bad when you say, Barney, who's your son there? Yeah, hello, can you just come forward? Yeah, you want to really make sure that you know, call them out, but yeah.
I like it. Can you just give us like 2 or 3 of your tricks that you've sort of used and work?
Yeah, sure. So I do I do like a kind of confabulation style effect, which is an ending reveal, which is based on a holiday and something to eat. I do an effect which is the first visual effect is a mind reading piece. I just do a card, and I actually joke here and I say, look, I have got this camera here, I've got this camera here, but there's no other cameras. I will look away. For everybody else, that if you're listening, please don't shout out the card because it will give it away and make it too easy. I then show them the card, and then I say, I'm going to try and read your mind, because I say about how, you know, I've been trying to read people's minds because I can't perform anymore, and then I get it wrong. I show them the card that I think it is, it's wrong. I rip it up, and then I bring out the gag, you know, with a bag full of ripped up cards, and I time it right. So I say that, oh, okay, well, I did say that I've been trying, and I pull out the bag and I drop it at the right time and just go, I didn't say how good I was, and they all laugh. And I put it in there, but then I say what card it was, and inside the bag, I pull something out, and I'm able to restore it. So, shall I put the information of that trick? Am I allowed to say it on here or not?
If anybody wants to get,
it's up to you, mate. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll keep it a secret just in case any of the people who've watched the show Google it. And then
either that, or we could get the link for it, or the name, just for the patrons.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, because if someone has watched your show and they then find you on YouTube explaining all of your show, it's a bit of a pain in the ass for your show.
Yes, So I'll try and keep it PC without revealing something. Yeah.
They've got this far in the podcast and they're not a magician.
Thank you for watching. Yeah.
They're bored in the house and they're in the house bored.
Yeah.
That's what it is, isn't it?
People can always reach out to you, can't they, if they want to get in touch about any of these things or want to find out more.
Ricky's in our group as well, and you can get him on Facebook and all these things. There's just one more point before we close the podcast. I know we've been going for an hour. Tickets, because we didn't touch that. How are you selling your tickets, just so people have got a whole sort of complete show if they want?
So for me, I wanted to make it as easy as possible. I was going to do it from my website, but the e-commerce section on it, it wasn't able. The only way I could have done it was to sell them a PDF, and it just didn't work. So I went through Ticket Source. Again, great recommendation by Andrew Green. You can literally set it up, create your artwork, stick it on there. You know, join Ricky in a 40-minute online mind reading show and magic show, fun for all the family, you know, suitable for 8+. And when they then buy the ticket, they get some T's and C's. So you do have to write some T's and C's. So I wrote some T's and C's because one of the things I had to put was, don't use these services to express nudity, foul language, or criminal activity. If you violation of these rules will not have a refund. You know, we're in people's homes. We have no idea what they could be doing, right? And if you've got a young child on there, oh dear, you know, that's a bit trouble. So now the only thing you can't stop, yes, the T's and C's will come up. So the way you can do it on Ticket Source, you put in your own information, it brings it up. They have to tick that box. Now, as far as you're concerned, if they've ticked that box, then they've agreed to that. But saying that, I had someone that joined a show, bought the ticket, and they had 4-year-olds on there, and it clearly states 8+. I can't stop anyone doing that. The only
No.
thing I could have done, I muted the mic because it was too noisy because they were screaming in the background. But you can't stop that. But what's good with Ticket Source is that you get a sales report. It tells you the email address. So for personality, maybe for the patrons here, but you could bonjour or do a bonbon, do a little private video email. Hey, Mary, thanks for buying a ticket. Can't wait to see you at the show. See you on Wednesday. And you could film that to them, make it really personal. So like, you really care about your client. So that's really cool. But with Ticket Source as well, you can click additional information. So I set it up so I had an e-ticket. As soon as they purchased, they received their e-ticket. On page 2, it had the instructions, best viewing experience, connect to your Wi-Fi, join the show 5 minutes before, don't express nudity, and then it said, here is your private link. And then that way they've got their password protected link. So they only get the password protected link once they've bought a ticket. The only thing you can't stop is if they were to share that link with someone. But what's quite good is with the sales report you get on Ticket Source, you'll know exactly who has bought a ticket. So let's say they do share it with their friends. If that name is not on your list, a bit like who's on the door, who's coming in tonight to the club, you could tick them off and say, right, Sarah's in, John's in, Mary's in, great. Robert, he didn't sign up, he's not coming in. Yeah. So you can control that by inviting people in from that waiting room. So with Zoom, automatically it puts you into a waiting room and you can then tick off those names. As long as they've named themselves on their Zoom already. If they've named themselves as iPad or John's PC, you don't really know. But Ticket Source is really good. And the best thing with Ticket Source, you can include the booking fee in the price or charge them. I was not comfortable charging people £8.43. To me, that just screams unprofessionalism. Why would I charge someone £8.43? Because otherwise I'd have to, put promotional adverts out there. Guys, my show's available now, £8.43. They'd be like, So I absorbed the price. I absorbed it. I didn't mind it. Didn't mind taking 43p off. And that's all they pay. And it also helps them with discount codes if you want to give it. But the best thing with Ticket Source, because of COVID right now, is they email you the Monday after. So I had a show a couple of weeks ago on the Friday, 2 shows on the Friday and a show on the Saturday. Monday, they send you an email just saying, did the show go ahead? I clicked yes. And then Wednesday, the money was in my account. So very quick turnaround. Great service. You can customize it, publicize it if you want to, share it via Twitter, Facebook. It looks really professional. People commented that, they could just click on the link, find the show that they want, create your own homepage if you want to. So you can go onto Ticket Source, type Ricky Locke Magic, and you can see there's no shows at the minute because there's more coming out, but you can have your own, landing page. It's really professional. They get an e-ticket. It tells them exactly what to do. You can instruct them pre-show, say, great, make sure you bring a small object for the show, whatever you want. So for me, third party was really professional. I didn't want to email every person because that would just take up my time. I wanted it to be done properly. You don't have to pay anything for Ticket Source. It's free. You just make an account with them, but then you can choose to have the booking fee added or absorbed in. So I highly recommend that. Yeah, really good experience.
So that's going to draw us to a close for this podcast. Ricky, thank you for sharing all your knowledge. I know it's brand new, and thank you for coming on again to the podcast. I know we're talking about doing other things with you that is a separate sort of idea, and hopefully that'll come to fruition. I don't want to share too much about that, but when we get that sorted out, everybody will know, and I think it will be a great resource for people learning from a true professional and somebody who knows how to look after his customers and also put on a Zoom show by the sounds of it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
And if anybody wants to reach out to Ricky, he's on our Facebook group or in the Facebook group, but he's also obviously on his own sort of Instagram and Facebook. I know Instagram's where you live mainly.
Yeah, sort of pretty much, yeah.
And again, Rob, thank you for joining us. And
my pleasure, mate.
For taking the time out today to join us as well. I don't know why I'm thanking Ian. Do we ever thank you, Ian? I don't know. Anyway, I hope everybody's got something out of that, because I know it's a hot topic and people are struggling and asking questions and they don't know what to do next. And if this COVID thing carries on and we're not making, or we're not performing or making money, a wage, then this could be the future for the foreseeable, at least up till Christmas. And then, what the very least, you'll have a skill that you've got the back end of it, even if it just sort of fizzles out towards the end. But I was chatting to Ian about it. I was going to end it there sorry, Ian, I know you got to shoot
That's
off.
okay, mate.
The other thing that you could do with this, once you've got your Zoom show sorted and a few tricks and effects, and you've got some under your belt, is you could advertise this to your brides and grooms or whoever in the future, and say, look, we'll just do a quick little show if you want to come and experience magic, and you haven't been at the wedding fair, or you haven't blah blah blah, or it's a cold sort of lead, and you can bring them in and have the one-on-one conversation. Because the one thing that this time is doing is making sure people know, or getting used to Zoom, getting used to the technology Skype, so they're having these interactions and they're not going to be scared to. Because before this, it was very hard to get people on FaceTime. I know the younger kids are using it a lot, but sort of adult wise, 30s and upwards, and not used, don't like that idea of a FaceTime conversation, or didn't, in my experience. But now I think the curve's turning, so we need to capture this and use it for our full advantage. Anyway, just my thoughts. And
see, I don't think that it's necessarily just until Christmas, though. To be fair, I think this can go on after that. It makes every single magician that uses Zoom international.
Yeah.
So,
agreed. Yeah.
So you can do a show from your sitting room in the southeast of England to the outstretches of Africa or wherever they can get internet, really.
And I think
And you can do it in your slippers, Rob, as well. You don't have to get fully dressed as well.
It's funny you should say that. You can only see me from the waist up at the moment.
Do you know what?
Thing on that,
oh, sorry.
One last thing on that sort of note of going international. I think it's a great idea. And for me, one of my Zoom shows is for a scout pack down in Sussex, which I'm nowhere near there. So great that I could venture out for that. But I would say don't do free shows if you can help it. Start monetizing as soon as you can. Because if you do a free show and all your material is out there for free, then no one's going to want to pay for you to watch the same stuff.
You've always got to put value onto your product, I think.
Exactly. And I've seen a lot of magicians doing free shows, which is lovely, but then they haven't got a product to sell if that is their show, if that makes sense. The fact that you can watch me live at a specific time, and the only bonus is that I'm live at that specific time, isn't really worth the extra £100 that people are going to be spending to get you. Don't put your stuff out for free. Keep it and use it wisely. Would be my advice on that one.
And do you know what, Ian? During this time, it's terrible weather. People have gone back to work. So I did a gig for Santander Bank in Grimsby yesterday at the end of their shift at 3:00. They're only doing short hours. This is a great way to improve morale for teams at work. They've gone back to work during this difficult time, isolating. My tagline is cheaper than a takeaway and more enjoyable. £8, right? It is cheaper than a takeaway, and it's going to bring you, and it's going to last longer than a takeaway. But really market it. I think it's on my website. Bored of the family quizzes you keep doing on Zoom? Run out of Netflix shows? Do something different. So it's a great way that you can appeal to people and bring that magic. Let's connect people. That's what it's about.
There's your soundbite, Rob. Anyway, thank you very much, and we'll see you again on the other side. Thank you. Good night. God bless. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.